Okay, good to go, ready to go, rock and roll. Welcome, welcome. Exciting day today after, I guess, a couple of years of running Atlas. It's been almost two, and we reached a really exciting milestone. Actually, a few that we're going to go over, talk about today, and also talk about some exciting opportunities that we have ahead of us, which these ideas that we're going to talk about today are all generated from the community. Like I couldn't imagine them even a month ago, honestly. The ideas that we're going to talk about today, but this kind of shows the power of co-creation, that what happens when a bunch of people come together and out of their passion and desire co-create, and like the opportunities of that. Looking kind of at our history, we kind of started in the COVID days. First event got canceled obviously because of COVID, but then we continued hosting 10 events and raised a bunch of donation, spent more than what we raised. As we kind of faced the challenges of running a camp in the middle of nowhere. But we kind of adopted this open source framework where the focus is on the community, and we just focus on transparency with an open treasury where we can maximize the impact of every dollar that we spend to create an abundant world. It's going to be our first year this year that we're going to take Atlas Camp to Burning Man, even though we started in 2019 thinking we're going to get there in 2020. It never happened. The world changed. Took us a couple of years of practice, which it's super good because we had no idea. Like, every event that we held, we learned dozens of major new things that were like, what the hell were we thinking? And now we're kind of more ready to take Atlas to Burning Man for the first year. So we're at Burning Man Camp. What that kind of means, I guess, for a lot of people who've never been there or don't know that, I guess the key idea is focus on the 10 principles of Burning Man. That's what being a Burning Man camp means, or being a participant in Burning Man means. These principles, I guess words can describe them, but they're hard to understand the impact until you get there and you feel how people treat you with these ideas, I guess. And yeah, we're not going to try to explain it. It's something that you have to experience. This is going to be the layout of the camp as we updated last night with Pazol and Fujan. This year we're thinking of having about 14 tent units and about 4 RVs. That red area represents our main stage as we usually have it. It's going to be kind of a more chill zone rather than main stage, because we're going to host just one party this year in Burning Man. And this is our kitchen, our water tank, shower systems in the back, and a pretty simple setup, I guess, for the first year. Now the idea obviously is how can we grow, and what are the opportunities that we have to improve the experience. We have a list of infrastructure that we think could play a really key role. Shift pods, generators, light systems, speakers, and kind of sanitation systems. I guess those are kind of the infrastructure of a system like this where you can deploy anywhere. This infrastructure is expensive. Every time we rent, we're kind of losing money. Like that's how I kind of ended up buying the first RV, because I was paying like $6,000 rent every year. And I'm like, okay, how does this make sense if I'm going to keep going every time? So that same mindset applies to Atlas. If we're going to keep doing this for 4 or 5 times a year every year, how does it make sense to keep paying rental income? Everything we do that's like lost. So how can we find good used high value equipment that supports the infrastructure of the camp? The idea of the shift pods is it kind of allows us to create this boutique hotel where we can allow people to rent furnished shift pods for those who are not so familiar with camping, or they want kind of a more comfortable experience. In Burning Man, we already have 11 shift pods, 7 of which are taken, because people just love the idea of plug and play, as they call it, to just come, and we can extend that idea to Atlas events here in Vancouver, because now we have the shift pods, and we're going to set up these 11 for an opportunity to even raise more donations. So, and that money, we're going to talk about how we can use that money, which is like an exciting part, but this is kind of the revenue model that makes it all possible. Sari, he's the first guy who showed up a couple of months ago, and some of you know him from UBC days, old days, but he's the guy who has this beautiful tent. It's a 53 feet huge tent in diameter. It fits about 300 people comfortably in it. It can deploy in 10 minutes using a hydraulic arm. And we can rig a lot of stuff on it. costs a lot of money, but thankfully we don't have to pay for it because of co-creators like Sari. We have the opportunity to use it for a fraction of the price that it costs to be able to deploy this. And using this, we're gonna talk about it later on, but the first event that we're gonna be using this is gonna be Halloween. And there's some exciting plans there. But before I guess we get there, it's good to talk about the second piece of the puzzle, which was introduced by Mohsen. So Sari comes from one side, he introduces the scent idea, and then Mohsen comes. He comes from a tech background, a lot of experience in battery design and obviously creating new technologies. But he came up with a really unique idea that I'm excited to show you guys, because the opportunity of combining that idea with the tent and with the current infrastructure that we have could result in another level of experience. But if we can play the video, I guess I'm going to play it from here, and then Mohsen's going to play it from there. Inputs, it can move these lights in any direction. There's a lot of different ways to configure this, a lot of different light types that we can buy. But the idea is we create the entire Atlas Camping experience focused on this light show. Not only on the main stage, but on the hallways and the kitchen area and all the areas that we have. The question is, how can we use such an innovative technology to make it that stage that has never been seen before? Imagine going in a stage, going in that tent, and having a bunch of dynamic lights that are being controlled and basically giving you this 3D room that I don't even know how it's going to feel, honestly. I've seen some stuff like this in Burning Man that's been fixed, but it hasn't been really under a dance floor, for example. You would sit under it and just watch it. But as we see the possibilities of this light and how we can program it and what we can do with it as a form of art, which is really what we're focused on, could give us an opportunity to really do something like these are circular lights. And just imagine the color could be controlled, the input, based on the input of the DJ as well. So there's a lot of different ways that we can configure this to just improve the overall Atlas experience, especially when it comes to the main stage, the music, the DJ, which is a core offering that we have. These wrenches each cost $600, which is one of the big limiting factors in us deploying this technology. But Mohsen right now is looking at ways that he can 3D print and create lighter wrenches, because these LED lights are super light. They don't weigh a lot, so we don't need those heavy-duty wrenches that are so expensive. So the idea is, how can we have a more lighter version of that we can scale and have a lot of units, and each unit is going to be connected to a battery cell, so it's going to be easily portable. You don't need to connect it to wire, because these setups, like a few companies like Adidas have deployed this, but it's on a fixed place. Like you have to go deploy it in there. So for us to master this in a mobile environment requires a different type of, I guess, optimization that is gonna, basically we're aiming for this for next year's Burning Man. Like it's a year worth of improving it. First time we're gonna try to deploy it for our Halloween event with the tent, which we think we can create a immersive light experience when you enter that tent. But then we're gonna keep improving that show every time we do Atlas. So by the time Burning Man 2023 comes, we can introduce this as a gift that we take to Playa with a main stage that is basically that big tent. So we just have to figure out how to master this under that, and this could become our plan for the next 12 months to create a unique experience that I guess, yeah, it's like a whole nother level. Probably wouldn't look like that on the first score, as we've seen so many times going into camping. Yeah, but the possibilities are there, and as we go, every time we do it, we keep investing in more light, more infrastructure, we keep practicing it more, and like anything else, through iterative process, we can eventually get it to a level that when we deploy it in a show, people are like just feeling that it's hard to believe, right? So these ideas, I mean, you know, having a large community, everyone coming up with their own ideas and their own ways of gifting, creates these new ways of us being able to co-create. And these particular new assets, the tent and the light show, I think these are two really interesting combinations. And on top of everything else, including the sauna and the spa system that we're trying to improve and iterate, and that was just a new introduction last time. These are all components of what could be a mobile utopia that we have to keep improving step by step, and eventually we can get there. So this is kind of the budget planning for Atlas. This is how we think about it. So we think about ranges. We think about like, okay, in the next, this is our Burning Man budget, but also long term we think about it. So going to Burning Man, we can spend as little as 52. That's absolutely like buying minimum number of assets that we need. In terms of food, transportation, and equipment, it doesn't make much of a difference. The big difference that is made in the budget is based on the assets that we can buy. So the idea is, how can we find these really high value assets that at the end of the day we need to operate the camp, and because like any other business or organization in the world, you need an upfront capital to be able to do these kind of things. We're kind of realizing more and more how we need our community and their vision and their collective support to be able to see how fast we can grow these ideas together. The more funding we get, obviously every event that we operate, we try to do it cash flow positive in a sustainable way, so we can keep growing and keep supporting art and music. But this is kind of the budget forecast that we need if we are to invest in more light systems, more infrastructure, more tents, more speakers, better everything that can always improve. This is kind of how it looks like. This would allow us to take an improved camp in Burning Man 2023. That would be basically the main tent that we had. We would be able to grow the number of RVs and the number of shift pods comes next year. But this is obviously a 14-month roadmap that takes multiple Atlas events here, and then also the Burning Man event that we're going to go this year to keep practicing, improving, learning, and gradually growing step by step. This would be basically the growth from one year to another, Burning Man 2022 versus 2023. So that's why we thought about the idea of a co-founder membership loan, an idea that would allow anyone in the community to participate, like some of the early co-founders, myself, Surush, and Saul are included, that we, in order to make things work, we had to loan some money to this nonprofit organization, which collectively has a future, a potential, and that's what's going to be returning our money. But in the same mindset, we kind of realized that we have to expand that, allow anyone in our community who's interested, who has the financial means and believes in the mission and the vision, to potentially contribute whatever makes sense to them. But we think it could be somewhere between 10,000 to 25,000. We aim to return that within a 2-year period, and we give co-founders a bunch of perks as they deserve, obviously, including their own engraved shift pod. So shift pods are kind of this unit of accommodation. They're super comfortable, they can be deployed anywhere. So we want to primarily use that fund to expand that, so we can even make more donations in the future to support more. So when we get that money and we buy the shift pods, one of them is going to be engraved under that co-founder's name, and every Atlas is going to be deployed for them. So they don't need to worry about it, it's there for them. They don't pay a camp fee, obviously, that's going to be included. And then they also get a Burning Man ticket reservation every month, every year basically. Yeah, we aim to raise about 100,000 to increase the liquidity that allows us to comfortably plan not only the Burning Man, but also the long-term vision of Atlas when it comes to building the stage, improving every component, which could iteratively be improved, and less money can be wasted on rentals as we strategically make that investment from somewhere between like 5 to 10 co-founders. So in the first 10 events that we hosted, we made 147,000 in donations. But given the future forecast in the next basically year and a half, and the next 10 events that we think is going to take us another year and a half to conduct, we have a forward projection forecast of 400,000. And this involves the idea of not only selling basic tickets, which we've done historically, but also offering the plug and play shift pods as a more premium offering for those people who want more convenience and more of a luxury experience, I guess, whether here in Vancouver or in Burning And this is basically the money that we're going to use to make sure that the people who loan the organization money get their money back within a 2-year time frame. And the idea again is the same idea that we deploy at Atlas. Is like, if you're gonna come, like if a person wants to come to Burning Man and spend $3,000-4,000 for their ShiftBot and tent, instead of spending that money, if you loan us that money and we can invest in infrastructure, then we don't need to rent these stuff and we all kind of save. So it's like extending that idea of buying smartly the key assets that we need, but that obviously requires capital to be able to continue doing that and investing that back into the organization. We run an open treasury, which we think plays a key role in creating transparency of all the, this is under 47,000 we spent. Everyone can see how we do in every event, how many people come, how much money, donations are we raising, and this is going to continue being that way because we're a communal project. Now the exciting stuff. I mean, it was exciting stuff here, but even more exciting stuff, which is we're doing a surprise event in a couple of weeks for 2 very special friends that are planning to get married. So Aga and Damian, we have a special Love Edition Atlas coming up on August 12th for 2 people that have always been with us and we've shared so many experiences together. Yeah, we're going to do this special event celebrating love, and it's going to be the first, I guess, in Burning Man this happens a lot, people get married, but it's never happened in Atlas, so we're super excited for this opportunity to share it with you guys, and just, yeah, it's, can't wait for that. So the next events that we have, it's going to be immediately. Yeah, so we have the Atlas Love Edition coming up. We have the Burning Man after that, and then we have the Halloween, which is going to be the first demonstration of the Dome plus the light show. So we have a couple of months to prepare for that, get the infrastructure, play around, deploy it, and get the first version of that light show actually ready for Halloween weekend. And we think that with the generator infrastructure that we now plan to acquire, we can more easily do winter events because now we have the power capacity to provide heaters to tents, and we have the ShiftBots. With the added infrastructure, we think that it's a little bit easier for us collectively to do campings in more colder environments, which is kind of what infrastructure is meant to do, because now we have that large tent that we can all go under. No matter what the weather, we're going to be super warm in that tent. So now with that infrastructure, we can do things that we could never do before, basically. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Registration opens tomorrow for all 3 events. So we already have the Burning Man registration going. But tomorrow at 7 p.m. we launch the other 2 registrations for Atlas 11 and 13. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We can do open questions now. We're going to talk a little bit more about the plans for Burning Man this year. A lot of people have questions and details, so we're going to go a little bit over that. But before we get that started, open floor. Anyone who has any questions, feedbacks, comment, it's a good time that we can go over them before jumping into this year's Burning Man plans.
Any takers?
Any takers?
Love the lights.
Huh?
Love the lights. The lights idea?
Yeah. When he showed it to me, I was like, just tell me what you need, okay? Like, I'll figure out the rest. You just tell me what you need, and we'll make it right. Like unique, exactly. That's the tough thing in Burning Man. There's so many beautiful camps there that they each have amazing gifts. But the question is, how can we stand out in that abundance of people who have a lot more budget? Like, budget is not a concern for a lot of those people, you know? Like, that's the last thing they think about, but we still have to be resourceful and be able to like put it together in a different way. So that's where community comes in, and the ideas like this, the co-creation, someone has this, someone has that, and we put them all together, and that mix, not knowing what it's going to be, is I think the most beautiful opportunity.
It's a good idea to try them out during our events, so when you go there, it's
we have to shoot multiple times, right? Because every time, even like the video recording that we've been doing with Mohsen since Atlas 7. So we've been doing like 4 sessions, and every time there's so many things we learned. Like things get disconnected, turn off, this, that, you know, and we're like, oh, okay. That's what's up. So we can go back here. So I guess here. So yeah, so this year's Burning Man, I guess, to go a little bit more in detail of that, we're going to try to really focus on the key infrastructure of sanitation, food, music. Because we have all our DJs, we're going to try to take our speakers and have one night of music on Tuesday. But this year, music is not a priority because we just don't have the budget for it, or the practice, or the stage, or it's not just playing music there. You just have to come see the environments that people set up for playing music. It's just like, I wouldn't want to be in a tent like that, you know, like myself in Burning Man, you know. So that, which is why like the focus is more this year on more of the core idea of like making sure that we have a solid like meal program, shower system, sanitation system, and then next year would be really the first year that we would have an opportunity to take a sound and light camp to Burning Man after a year of practice. But for this year, we're going to keep it, that's going to be more like chill lounge. That's going to have a CDJ in there and like set up. And then we're going to have a basic kitchen and a couple of trucks, a couple of RVs, and shift pods. Who here is thinking about coming to Burning Man? Raise of hands. One, so maybe like 10 of us, huh? Yeah. Any, I guess, burning questions from, especially from those who haven't been there? Anything you would like to know, or any questions you have now could be a good time. Okay. That's pretty much all the presentation, I guess. Unless there is any other questions.
Minimum investment is 10,000.
Huh?
Minimum investment is 10,000.
Minimum loan.
Maybe explain a little bit more about the loan and the
Yeah, because we were doing this already. Because given the nature of given the nature of how like startups work, whether it's for profit or non-profit, even though we don't ever want to make money, none of us get paid, we're all volunteers, but it still requires us upfront capital to make it work and make it work in a more efficient way that it can go faster. So we were kind of forced from time to time to put 10,000, 20,000, 5,000 because things don't go the way you think they're going to go, that's how life is, and then you had to do it. So we're like, okay, if the idea behind Atlas is that we want to decentralize everything and we want to co-create everything in like anything possible, why not also co-create that loan process that we were giving to the company with the full trust that we know is going to come back, and we were even comfortable saying that the people who loan it to us after would even get it faster than us, so that they have the confidence to know that, you know, their money would come back sooner than my money would come back, for example. But nonetheless, like any other entertainment organization, things take time to grow, and it takes time to improve your art and work on it and grow it. So over the years, we definitely think that the economies would change as we build a more solid foundation. We have a bigger following, and we keep doing more events in town with these tents and out town and campings as we've been doing, and that's going to allow us to comfortably not only pay back the co-founders that loaned us that money, but also be able to grow more comfortably in the meantime, ensuring that we provide the best experience every Atlas, basically. So that's where kind of the idea came from, and yeah, we kind of worked on it. We're like, okay, what kind of makes sense to offer a unique set of privileges to people who have the money and can give us that loan. So we kind of thought of these few items to give them: engraved shift pod and free tickets for life, and free tickets, yeah, basically for coming to Atlas. Free Atlas membership
Camp
for
fee.
life. So every time you come to Atlas, you never pay a camp fee as a co-founder, and you also always get a reserve Burning Man ticket that you pay for, but as part of the camp's allocation, we would always assign you one ticket.
Even after the 2 years that is paid off?
Yeah, even after 2 years paid off, you keep basically you have the shift pod that you can also come grab if you want to go camping yourself, because it's your shift pod, but also you get to keep the lifetime membership and the lifetime Burning Man ticket assignment. It's not a free Burning Man ticket, but it's pretty much the biggest part of the biggest challenge of finding the Burning Man ticket is going to be resolved through that.
So a good question would be, how are we going to sell that? How are we going to sell the idea to? Is it gonna, like, how do we communicate that?
Like we were doing right now with the live stream right there.
Would be
And then
next
recording.
the next time we set up a sheet pod, somebody records the whole thing and it has to look luxurious.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Air-conditioning.
Oh yeah.
Do a video of that somebody looks and like, wow, I definitely want to invest in it.
It's actually a good feedback. The setup that we do this year, we do it proper, like, you know, videography of the setup.
Yeah, we could do it in Halloween.
Yeah, when Halloween, actually, that's the first opportunity
Because
that we
you
have to
see
do the
that,
light show.
and you don't realize they have you could put air conditioning on those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have to, like, for both heaters and air conditioning.
Exactly.
we have to
Most people might not know that, so it would be.
And we're gonna put both because we
Yeah.
need both in different conditions. So every shift pod is gonna be equipped with a heater and air conditioner and bed. So you're gonna have the full. You're gonna have the full
just
setup.
bring
Like,
your own pillows, that's it.
that's it. Yeah, that's
Maybe
big.
if I can add something for those people who really don't understand the program. It's the entry for Burning Man. We are gonna provide one reserve ticket for those people, but the whole cost of Burning Man is basically waived. So some of us that are joining other camps in Burning Man, the average cost for going to Burning Man, including your trip, your RV, is around $10,000 to $12,000, maybe more at this point. That's what people are spending. So what we are asking is loan us $10,000 and your cost basically is zero. All you need to pay is the cost of Burning Man and
The Burning
all
Man
the
ticket, yeah.
Burning Man ticket
Because the
around
camp fee and the shift pod
$800.
is there, and you have the
So
accommodation.
what you have to do is what you just said.
Yes.
Tape it with a video.
It's
of
taped,
the
that's it.
That's
end.
why I'm trying to explain it better.
Yes.
So it's not only this year, next year you're gonna get the same thing. You're gonna get your shift pod, zero cost coming to Burning Man. So let's say for the next 20 years, you're gonna get the same thing. And imagine for only lending us $10,000, so we can create this
Abundance.
virtual mobile hotel that we are creating. So also, whenever we're gonna have for example, for the last year we had 10 events. All those events you're gonna come in free of charge, and you're not gonna pay anything, and your shift pod is also gonna be there. So the transportation of your shift pod, including and storage, and including your AC, will be included
Heater.
in this, and heater will be included. So basically zero cost. You're gonna be able to enjoy coming to Burning Man and
Or Atlas.
any
or-
Atlas events.
Are you taking kidneys?
Hmm?
Are you taking kidneys? Kidneys.
How much do kidneys go for on eBay? Do it eBay.
I'll take it once.
Fresh kidney. Fresh.
Is there a difference between
All
the
donations.
privileges for someone who loans 10,000 to 25,000?
Yeah.
Is there any difference between these?
We'll come up with a good package for you if you give us 25,000. But the minimum is 10,000. 25,000 we might give you more and more stuff. Plus one, plus two, whatever.
Platinum membership, silver, gold membership.
And we'll definitely announce that you have $25,000 to everyone that you were our big
VIP
donor.
badge.
You did that, yes.
Put credits
We might
at the
even
end of the
engrave
video.
your name twice on
At
the
the end of
ship.
it.
No, but
The registration will have one more step now.
the possibilities of us running this on a world stage is very like big. It's not like limited to just like Burning Man and like Vancouver itself. Realistically, if you have like a mobile like utopia that you could deploy anywhere in the world, literally is as easy as that, right? So we could do like destination setups. It doesn't have to be just Burning Man in Vancouver. Obviously, like down the road, like say 5 years in the future,
Tulum or
there's
something.
so many things that we could do anywhere in the world, right? So as long as we can make this like a setup that is like deployable anywhere within like an hour or so.
And improve the light show, because that takes time. Like
Yeah.
the whole
Even
experience.
rented lights for like other festivals and things too.
And that's something
Yeah,
we
yeah.
totally
Once we do our first videography of that first session, and then we show that to like even like City of Vancouver might want to there's so many opportunities, so many collaboration opportunities, especially because we're non-profit too. Like we're a non-profit organization working on a communal idea that I think could garnish a lot of support in
You
different
could
ways.
also take the investment as a tax write-off.
Yes,
It's a loan.
it's a loan.
NGO. Well, if for the people
If the-
who want to invest and do a tax write-off.
Yeah, donations are all tax write-off because we're a registered charity, and we can definitely do the tax
Yeah,
write-off.
you want the big
Yeah,
money?
of course.
You write you
Tax
a
write-off,
100,000
yeah.
check.
But does it mean that people, when they buy Atlas tickets, also they can write it off?
Technically, they should be able to because we're a charity.
You do 10,000 a year, that's like $2,000.
Why not? Like, write it out. It's not like I care. Write them all off.
Do we have anything on like the structure that has kind of like changed for Atlas itself, like here?
Yeah, actually, so yeah, I didn't actually that slide I didn't put in, but I can talk about it. So there's
If you want to.
yeah, that's an exciting part actually. So there's every time we go to Atlas, like there's at least a dozen major realizations. Like minor ones, there's many, but major ones, there's a dozen that we've really messed up, and we had a lot of pressure at some direction, and we're like, okay, there was something wrong. Last time that we did Atlas, after kind of 10 events, we kind of realized that there's a few fundamental things that we had been doing wrong in all 10 events, basically, not just one of them. One of them is this idea that we kind of gave meal program as an option, which kind of created this internal wall. So we're kind of dividing our community into two groups that some of them have the meal program and some don't. Even though the meal program we're offering is $60 for 4 gourmet meals, which if you go right now to any like shawarma place, you have to pay more for that, like basically to get like the most basic anything. But the reason I guess we never did, sometimes we were fearful that can we handle like 300-400 people eating together. Now that the operation has grown to a level that we have that confidence, from the future Atlas 11 onwards, we will not give the option of an optional meal program.
No.
It's like the Atlas experience is a package. You come, you take the whole thing, and you experience the whole thing because we're all the same. And in that same line of thinking, the other big separation that we had in Atlas events was about 50% of the people were part of the active volunteers and 50% were not. And that was the same ratio as the meal program. Half of the people were in the meal program, half were not. So kind of these kind of divisions within Atlas, which if you think about it, it's a really hard event to host, whether money or time. And the idea is how can we distribute that more evenly so everyone does a piece both in terms of money and time. So in that regards, we're kind of introducing a new standard volunteer ticket from this Atlas, which basically means that the standard expectation of everyone is to pay the standard fee and pick a volunteer role. Because there's so many things to do in Atlas and we all have to do our part and there's no other way to make it happen. We think we can grow the participation rate from 50% to maybe 80% because at the end of the day, volunteering takes time. We have to plan in advance. And when it comes like a week before the event, we can no longer accept new volunteers because it takes time to integrate them and verify them within the team. So the people who choose to buy tickets at that very last week, they would basically have to pay double the price of the standard ticket paid by volunteers as kind of a donation ticket, which is they would be the only ones who don't take a role, but we really want to limit that to the absolute minimum because again, the idea is that we should all do something in this really tough event of building abundance and tearing down abundance and leaving no trace. We think that that's the best way. So these are kind of the two big adjustments that we think we can make from in the future to like kind of make the event more engaging for people and more fun and more abundant because more people are going to be involved in. So 50%, 80% contribute. That basically means that we would have more capacity to execute more things that we can do and just a better event experience. So that's basically how we look at it. And those are some of the big updates, but I guess there were some other updates too.
Do we have a location for the
No, we're gonna
the
do
next event?
we're gonna do the
Scouting.
location scouting. Let me see where is the
How
Atlas.
much money did you raise in the last Atlas event?
In the last Atlas event, so let's go to the Atlas Treasury here. And anyone can go to this on our website in the FAQ. So event 10, Atlas 10. So we raised 22,300 in donations. And we spent 19, so we were positive 2, I guess, on that particular event.
I don't like the red ones.
The red ones, yeah. I mean, red ones.
not that much.
Oopsie.
The red ones was a lot.
How do you know you can pay it back in 2 years?
I mean, even right now, here's a forecast. So this is a forecast. So we look at, these are historical data that we have on this side. And this is the forecast that we have from, I guess, 11 to 20. So 9 and 10, we did forecasts. They were the first events that we had the forecast system. But we're going to do forecasts for every event that we do. So we kind of like Atlas 11, Atlas 10, we did 22,000. This one, we think we're even going to do less. So we're not even forecasting like any type of crazy numbers or anything here. But we think if it's just a matter of consistent execution. That's the tough thing about these kind of things. If we can create a framework where we don't go under a lot of pressure because we designed the co-creation system in a way that everyone takes a part, that allows us to do more events more smoothly because both the financial weight and the execution weight is distributed among a larger community that also empowers more co-creation and more creative ideas that I could never come up with other than people coming together and piecing these ideas together.
I think
I
another.
think she's. I'm sorry. I think she's asking how you gonna be able to pay us back with low margins.
I'll take that one. So.
And, yeah.
I think like one of the major differences in the future Atlas events is the rental income from the accommodation sector.
Right.
So typically in the past we've only been able to sell like food and like entry to the camp itself, right?
And food was even optional,
So
so some
now-
people didn't even buy that.
The whole point of us like investing like 90% of the money that we're raising into assets is exactly that. Whether if it's like shift pods, like a generator, like these are the stuff that are high value like rental like equipment. We could rent them over and over again throughout the year. And then not only to our own specific camp, but perhaps even to other like networks that are related to us.
Yeah, I can expand on that.
Yeah,
so that's a really big idea that I actually totally forgot. Like that was, so let's get in there. So the idea here is that once we get, so there are 3 groups right now in Atlas that are uniting forces. Atlas is one group, and so far, as you can see, we've bought about $41,000 worth of assets to date. In the 170 that we spent, 40 of it went towards assets. That 40, we have this partner, Guillaume, that we work with all the time. He has about $50,000-$60,000 worth of assets, speaker system, tents, tables, all that kind of stuff. And our friend Sari, which we saw has the main tent, he has that main tent. So collectively among the 3 groups, we have somewhere around $250,000 worth of assets now. This is without growing it, without investing further in it. The idea is that $250,000 worth of assets, if Atlas wants to deploy it, we would do it 20 days a year. So for another 335 days a year, there's no use of that $250,000 worth of assets. So the idea was, why don't we join forces and we start this other external rental company, because operating a rental company is tough. So it's not easy to just say, okay, we're gonna just put them on the side and rent them. That's a whole business and people like make millions out of just that. We don't want to do that. We just want to support our utopian mobile city, and we want to make sure that the assets that we have are not just sitting there dormant for 330 days a year, but rather anyone in our community who wants to go camping, who needs any sort of those mobile assets, has the opportunity to come and to rent them off a website. And then we basically split that rental revenue 50-50 between the asset owner, which in this case would be Atlas, and the operator of the rental business, whoever that is. And we have 2 candidates that are already committed to running it. So the idea is that by continuously adding these assets, we're also going to try to make even more money by not just doing those premium packages in Atlas, but also having this other rental side that allows anyone to rent shift pods, generators, tents, tables, all the CDJ speakers. Like a lot of us have parties in our houses sometimes, and we need like a CDJ system. There's so many opportunities for that, and we have such a large community of people that need those assets. So as long as we let them know that, hey, we have this sister company that does rentals, that would create even another source of revenue. So there's 2 new revenue streams that we're targeting for the next year: rental income and premium plug and play accommodation, basically.
Sharing. So why not participate with that float of tents? Why not participate in other camps? For example, Shambhala was happening the other day. Why don't you guys say, if you want to do that, we can, like, if, for example, if somebody is not interested in the Atlas idea,
yeah, and they want to do their own event,
but wants to invest, and they want to go to Shambhala, they can do that as well. Or they could, or you support, for example, 5 or 6 other like major camp organizers in the city, and then you can work with them and like sell tickets for them, and people with you can use their own tent when going there, because that's a very huge part of the tickets, and them are not as cheap as you. Like their tickets are very more expensive.
And they don't have food included.
They don't have food
none
included.
of that.
So if the people like invest with you and they can go to whatever camp or party they want, that would be another like big.
Like take their tent to anywhere, you mean? Is that?
Or you support them. Like you have a group that going to that thing, like you take it there.
You connect with like Base Coast and Shambhala and tell your
and you guys have the tents, you
Whole
have the
partnership
community.
for housing.
If you say there,
What
for
else?
example.
You can
Yeah.
also use it as a promotion.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's different
for
ways.
that
Yeah.
camp. I said with the camp organizers, they can work together and say we have this big community.
I think exactly. So to your point, like the community is like the backbone of this like whole camp, right?
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do, I think, what you're suggesting is like the
So I think what you mean is like, here's an idea. Like right now, Aga and Damien getting married on the next Atlas.
Mhm.
Usually if someone wants to get married, like you can like host a party for, let's say 200 people. That cost could range anywhere from like tens of thousands of dollars to like way more. The culture, different cultures are different, but people in Canada, the people who are more like nature driven, there could be this idea that they want to go camping and get married. Or that's one form of an organized event.
Shavin, the thing that I'm saying in answering to that lady's Sanam's question, how you want to get our money back. Now you're only counting on 11 next Atlas events. With this idea, you can count on countless events that are happening in the
Concurrently,
city,
and
and
we
you can
manage the whole event for them, including the ticket
Yeah.
registration,
Yeah.
like the wedding we're doing.
Yeah,
Like their
exactly.
wedding, we're managing
if
fully
you're,
for them.
if
You know,
you're
but it's
going
not
to
a-
if you're going to Shambhala and you are a member of us, we can take you there with your tent and everything.
with your tent to Shambhala.
Yeah.
It's a little bit tricky, I guess, in terms of because at the end of the day, we have limited execution capacity.
I know. You have to, like, more people should be involved. For example, if you take care of Atlas, like, he should take care of
Like,
3
I think
events.
there's
he should
an
take
angle
care
for
of.
like collaboration and
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
like growing that community.
Yeah.
Obviously like exposure to Shambhala or any other major event
Yeah.
is one way of us like growing that community and also like utilizing like the assets and everything. But there's a lot of also micro events here in Vancouver. They don't have to be like
Exactly.
their
No,
big
I-
events that everyone knows about.
I just
and I think-
exaggerated to make my point.
Yeah,
more
you're right.
exactly.
You're absolutely
There
right.
is-
So like
there is
I think
a lot of
I
like
think
countless
we're
events.
not like opposed to going to any of them. Like
Yeah.
as long as like we can rent out the equipment, we can utilize the equipment for our own camp members. All of that is on the table. Like we're gonna obviously like maximize our opportunity from any asset that we
for sure,
own,
yeah.
right? So I don't think anyone's opposed to that. But to your point, you're absolutely right. I think the community's aspect of it, I think that's a bigger value that we would create to get exposed to like major events like this and having like part of that. It exposes a lot of other people to understand like what Atlas Camp is,
Yeah.
and perhaps in the future come and join us. Like our community has been growing since day one, but there's never been like an active sort of work behind growing that. It's all been organic.
Yeah, and you see that
we've never had digital marketing ever.
We've never
Like,
done
this
any
is
of that,
ridiculous
right?
in the form of it.
a word of mouth happened that like lots of events that you guys go together, like Lola's events, Kave's events, this event, that this is already happening. You have that like 100 people, you say the name, they come, say Shambhala this time, and then connect with Shambhala, and then you have that community already.
They already sell their
They
own
already-
luxury packages. I don't think they would do.
No,
Are
it
you
like
saying
It's-
with
exactly.
the idea of like providing their accommodation and comfort features
Yeah,
only,
yeah,
or
yeah.
their ticket as
Both,
well?
both.
Because in order for them,
they make
in
it
order for
easy.
us to give incentives to like basically our members, we have to be able to get incentives from that organizer as well,
Yeah.
which is not going to be easy. From the smaller ones, you're right, we can do that,
Yeah.
but we're
Yeah,
far
yeah.
away from like getting
Yeah, yeah,
incentives
yeah.
from a
I'm
place
just
that's
saying,
not
yeah.
like Burning Man
Right.
and is actually financially motivated, not community-wise.
Communal.
Like,
I know.
it's places like
But
baseball.
we're
and-
open to
just-
collaboration. We're
Yeah.
open to all sorts of, because once we start the rental, the idea is that once Mohsen improves his light art, that light art could be deployed in so many
Yeah.
setups. Just that.
Exactly.
Forget about everything
Exactly.
else. Just that light show would be so valuable that we can deploy it for the city of Vancouver. We can deploy it for different camps. We can deploy it for different
So the
festivals.
same when people ask like how you want to get our money back, like these are the means that you can
For
create.
sure. The opportunities are endless. I
Yeah.
think no one's arguing
Yeah,
against it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
to be honest, like there's another aspect to it. Like for example, RVs, right? A lot of people don't want to go out camping, whether if it's in a shift pod or a tent, right? Some people always come with an RV. We can always use that RV for Burning Man too. We could use it year round on different platforms,
There you
such as
go.
the RV Easy,
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Those are all assets that create the
These are-
sustainable income, even with 5 events a year.
It's just that there's opportunities everywhere, but for us to be able to be laser focused on improving the current experience that our camp members have, it goes like first. It takes priority, right? And then it's like, okay, so if we want to get exposed to people who don't camp in a tent, the minimum investment is like an RV, which is like $25,000-$30,000, right? And the rental income from that is very little compared to us like buying a generator and renting it out every day, right? For a rental.
Also, another idea, can I say, like if this membership can be transferable, people can join and have a membership of yours. Like for example, if me, her, him decide to put like 2,500 each and buy a membership for all four of us, that would make it
We
more
welcome you
accessible.
to do that.
Yeah, why not?
Saying like
Yeah,
a timeshare,
I'm just saying
like a
idea.
timeshare idea. Like you all
Like
like
a
you know.
membership program.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
timeshare.
Timeshare,
not
timeshare membership.
Yeah, so it's like pulling
So like
together.
one of the group can use the
Yeah, so
Or
for
if-
instance, I
or
cannot
for
come
example,
to that event,
Or
but
if
you
four
guys
of you guys
can-
are comfortable
Olympics
together,
once
you can use
every
it at the same
4 year
time.
you go
Yeah.
to Berlin.
Yeah.
But at
What's
the
the
same time, it's
capacity
also
of the
the
shift
membership
pods?
fee
Huh?
that people pay.
Capacity of
So
shift
4
pods.
people is different than like
what
one
you
person.
mean, what-
Capacity.
Right,
How
so
many
that's
people in
also
one
huge.
shift pod?
Two
Yeah.
people per shift pod, easy, like comfortably. But they can, like right now, there's people coming in our camp with 4 people in the shift pod. I wouldn't recommend it, but it could happen, right?
Yeah.
So it has it's a 10 for 6, like, but you know, to be
Yeah,
comfortable,
but
like
if
you're
you want
super
like a
comfortable.
queen size,
On
queen
the
size
bed, you
mattress
have to
in there.
slide.
That's the main idea, being comfortable in a
Being
place that you're not
comfortable,
comfortable.
everything's set up,
Yeah.
right? That's the idea.
So for the 10 times amount, for instance, could you do it between 2 people?
Yeah.
The 2 people would get 1 ticket,
And then, yeah.
but they could share. Maybe sometimes this
Share.
one comes, sometimes that one comes. They can
Yeah.
still get
Yeah,
another
exactly.
ticket, or you know, pick.
But
The
that's
second
like-
person can buy a ticket.
Yeah.
But the shift pod is going to be set up
Yeah.
for that person. They get an engraved shift pod that always goes to Atlas Camp anywhere Atlas Camp goes.
Yeah.
That shift pod is there, it's set up, it's ready to go. If you come, if you don't come, we rent it to other Atlas members.
Yeah, I really like that idea.
You know, so it's like a way for us to decentralize that loaning process that we were doing anyway. We had to do it because that's the only way things like this grow. But we're like, why don't we share this idea with the community? Because now there's more ways to raise that money and more ways to go create faster rather than getting there. Like 2 years from now, we can get to that vision a year from now if we start working on it from now, invest in it, and have. And we're gonna have many amazing events here before we even get to Burning Man, like Halloween. Like I can't wait until to see what that looks like and like for the first time, you know.
So for this loan program to work, at least there has to be 10 people, $10,000.
No, we would welcome. Really, there's like our target is 100.
Let's say just 2 people invest, so 20,000. Does it fail? So you.
It doesn't fail. So depending on the amount of money that we raise from our community, we diverge the plan from minimum to maximum. So we have all sorts of scenarios ready to go based on how much money we can raise and how our community supports us. Minimum, average, maximum are the 3 scenarios. So the minimum is a plan that's almost not fully, but almost sustainable with just Burning Man camp fees. But it doesn't really invest in our future, our assets, you know, our potential. But nonetheless, if we are not able to do that, we should always be sustainable regardless. So we're gonna have a plan that works. But we can, but we kind of like the average plan that we think is gonna give us the best trajectory to have everything ready and improved for next year, Burning Man 2023. I mean, this year is gonna be a really solid basic setup. That next year we grow a sound and light camp into that, which is gonna be.
Which kind of energy you thinking? Gas?
Energy
Generator or?
generator, yeah, the 72,000, like one of these big ass ones that you have to trail because we need one of those for Burning Man. Like those are the standard units, and we're looking at like everything we buy Facebook Marketplace used but good quality, high value. You know how people sell stuff for like half the price or a third of the price, crazy stuff that you find. That's the only, other than shift pods, which are the core unit that we have to buy new. Every other thing we aim to buy in a really high value way to maximize the bang for the buck, right? So we get the most out of every dollar.
Who's the person that lent us the solar energy, the solar panels,
Oh yeah, Mark.
that was
So-
great, that was really nice.
Solar panels. Oh yeah, I actually talked to him
Big
for.
investment,
Harder
but like-
than Burning Man.
Yeah, but
with
not in
all
Vancouver.
these solar.
Yeah, that's
He's gonna do
what
solar,
I
huh?
can barely use it.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
So we have a solar guy that's gonna build our battery systems right there with those systems. But yeah, he like how much batteries did you buy already? Like you have what? Like
Yeah, but the solar panels, it's gonna be all dust.
All dusty and shit.
Or in Vancouver, you can't really use
yeah.
it.
Gotta be a
It
whole-
doesn't more.
You need someone to like wipe shit out like 24/7.
Round the clock.
No more light tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's great.
No, but I think
also because
I think
it's like covered by on all sides.
Yeah.
The
cost?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely sustainability is like one of the bigger issues we have. Like even regardless of us going to here, like in BC, like there's always like move and like we obviously care about like the nature and the environment. So I think down the road there's definitely ways for us to become more sustainable, more environmental friendly and whatnot, right? But it would definitely take time. Like it would require a lot of investment too. So.
Yeah. I have a quick question. So let's say you contribute to this loan program, and for whatever reason you can't make it 1 year.
Yeah.
You allocate someone yourself to go use the shift pod, so you give your space to someone of your own choosing.
Yeah, you can transfer your basically
So-
we were eventually actually thinking of even launching NFTs, to be honest, because that's what communities do. So we like a actual physical token that represents one NFT for your shift pod and two NFTs for your, or one NFT for your shift pod and one NFT for your ticket, basically. So you have two NFTs. One of them gives you a free shift pod, and then you can sell them, exchange them. But that's the long-term vision. For now, it's the same idea. You know, think of it as if you had it. You can exchange it, sell it at whatever value it has. That NFT key would give you access to a shift pod or a free ticket as a premium member. Indefinitely. Because you own it, right? And you're gonna get the money back, but the value of that is gonna continue, depending on how Atlas performs over the years, the value of that is gonna keep rising because it's promised an indefinite shift, I mean, until the shift pod wears off basically, which is like, I don't know, 10, 15 years or whatever. Right? And the ticket never expires, so that's basically it. So it's the idea of outsourcing the loan, crowdsourcing it, and then growing faster.
And realistically,
together.
there's like a limit to how many shift pods like we actually need to buy, and how many like members we can actually take with us to Burning Man. It's not unlimited, right? Here in BC, like we go out, like we don't even count the number of people that come in, right? But over there, you need to have like a cap and limit to exact number of people that you're taking. Like we've seen camps that used to do like 300 people in a year in Burning Man, and now they've actually shrunk their size in half to 150 people because they think that creates like a better, more intimate sort of environment for people to kind of enjoy. So
More manageable.
yeah, for sure, and it doesn't really like more numbers doesn't really equal like better experience. It's something the other in between measure that could create that better experience for everyone.
So, exciting stuff.
Any other questions? Any feedback? Any comments?
If I may add just one more time, this loan, you guys most probably would spend at least $5,000 to $7,000 going to Burning Man only this year. So the question that Sanam asked, how we're going to get this money back, even if you assume that you're not going to get this money back in 2 years, you're still going to be ahead $5,000 to $6,000, which you're not going to be spending this year. So even maybe by saving 2 years, you're already up ahead $10,000. So I believe it's a no-brainer to go on this plan and help our community and make sure that our rental expense decreases, because buying this much asset makes sure that in next events we're going to reduce our rental expense and we're going to make more money. So paying back those debts are going to be much easier even in the next events.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can always liquidate the assets too. If worse comes to
Worst
worse,
comes to
you
worst,
put it on
yes. Yeah, but
Facebook Marketplace.
And also
or
the main question is if you actually want to be going to the events, if
Yeah,
you're going to be
good all the year.
The main question you have to do is am I going to Burning Man? Am I going to Atlas events still? That then pay off 100%.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yay.